Let me tell you how I enrolled at Harvard and slept with an economics professor. Come on. That's right. I became a student at Harvard recently, and I came to work with Professor Jeffrey Sachs at CID to study the lack of development in third world economies due to the crushing weight of old debts those economies were carrying for generations. You see, it turns out that the normal rules of bankruptcy don't apply to sovereign states. It would be harder for you to get a student loan than it was for the likes of President Mobutu to stream billions of dollars into his Swiss bank account while his people starved on the side of the road. 2 generations later, the Congolese are still paying. The debts of the fathers are now the debts of the sons and the daughters. So here I was, representing a group that believed all such debts should be cancelled in the year 2000. We called it Jubilee 2000, a fresh start for a new millennium. Yeah. It was headed up by Ann Pettifer, based out of London, with huge support from Africa and the South. With Muhammad Ali, Sir Bob Geldof, and myself acting at first just as mouthpieces. It was taking off, but we were way behind in the US. We had the melody line, so to speak, but in order to get it on the radio over here, we needed a lot of help. My friend, Bobby Shriver, suggested I knock on the good professor's door. And a funny thing happened. Jeffrey Sachs not only let me into his office, he let me into his Rolodex, his head, and his life for the last few years. So in a sense, he let me into your life here at Harvard. A student, Bono, again. I was 3 weeks in a college before this, all right? So then Sachs and I, with my friend Bobby Shriver, hit the road like some sort of surreal crossover act. A rock star, a Kennedy, a noted economist, crisscrossing the globe like the Partridge Family on psychotropic drugs. We had the Pope acting as our kind of agent. We had the blessing of various rabbis, evangelists, mothers' unions, trade unions, and PTAs. It was a new level of unhip for me. But it was very cool. It was in that capacity that I slept with Jeff Sachs. Each of us in our own seat on an economy flight to somewhere, passed out like a couple of drunks, but from sheer exhaustion. It was confusing for everyone. I looked up with one eye to see your hero stubble in all the wrong places, his tie looking like a headband. An air hostess asked if he were a member of the Grateful Dead. Check it. It's more of a mop-top situation today. I think you'll agree. Anyway, I have enormous respect for Jeff Sachs, but it's really true what they say. Students should never sleep with their professors. So while I'm handing out trade secrets, I also want to tell you that Larry Summers, your incoming president, the man whose signature is on every American dollar, well, he too is a nutcase and a freak. You two made it big out of Boston, not New York, not LA. So I thought if anyone would know about our existence, it would be a Treasury Secretary from Harvard. No. When I said I was from U2, he had a flashback from Cuba, 1962. How can I put this? And don't hold it against him. Mr. Summers is, as President Clinton confirmed to me last week in Dublin, culturally challenged. But when I asked him to look up from the numbers to see what we were talking about,